Okay, folks. Been a few minutes. There has been a lot going on over here at the Shipley homestead. Big changes that we've been going through for the last few weeks, so it's been a minute since we've done a video. I have been watching things though and felt that this is the perfect time to weigh in and talk to you guys about the things that I've been hearing and been guessing about what's coming in 2025 for Harley Davidson. Been doing a lot of research and watching my favorite people and talking to insiders, talking to people at the dealerships. I wanted to get everything that I could squeezed out of my network before I did this video. So everything we're going to talk about, I'm pretty confident in that it's going to come to pass. I literally think maybe 95% of what I've discovered is going to be very solid information, very in tune with what's going to happen. So the challenge this year, unlike other years, is that Harley has really started cracking down on information leaks. They used to use information leaks. They would have key people speculate or announce certain things so that it would start stirring up the excitement prior to them coming out with the official launches and the official reveals. But nowadays, they're keeping things under wraps. So it's been a little bit harder to get all this information. So let's start out and we're going to take a look at a couple things. We're going to look at things like what are the real problems that Harley's facing, what our predictions are for the new bikes, the direction that the company's focus is going to shift to. And then we're also going to take a look at some of the things that we're expecting to happen in personnel and other situations at the corporate level. So let's get into it. Thank you for watching and joining us here at Simply Being Shipley. And roll the intro. Okay, so let's start out by talking about the big news that has been coming out about Harley and that you see regurgitated by personality after personality after personality on the internet. And that is the third quarter decrease in the stock, the loss of profits that Harley's going through. I have been watching a lot of people using it as, I guess, for shock value to drive views to their channel. So in reality, there's nothing going on that hasn't happened every single year at this time of the year with Harley Davidson. Third quarters are always the point where they drop in value. They drop in profitability because at least 50% of the nation stops riding and stops buying bikes, stops buying parts at this point in the year because of the weather. That is no big surprise. Yet every year you have hundreds of YouTubers come out and talk about the collapse that Harley's going through because of the third quarter numbers. It's just not the case. Fourth quarter is going to be down. First and second quarter of next year are going to be back up. That's the cycle that a recreational company goes through. RVs have their season, boats have their season, motorcycles have their season here in the US. So Harley, unlike a lot of other manufacturers, relies heavily on the US market for the bulk of their sales. So they are very subject to the seasons here. Do I think that there's any real problems signified by the third quarter losses and the lower profitability? No, not at all. So in my opinion, we can just put that to bed at this point. That's par for the course. Okay. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about is the surgence of Indian this year. With all the troubles that Harley has gotten into politically, and we'll go over that later, that Indian is really starting to come to the forefront. And again, I don't think that's true. Indian makes several bikes that are good products. They make several bikes that aren't. Harley does the same. Honda does the same. Not everything is for everybody, and you're not going to have the same quality in the entire lineup from bike to bike. So there's going to be variations of what's a good bike and what's a bad bike. And often, not always, but often can be predicted by the price point of the bike. But that being said, I will say what I've always said. Until Indian goes to an exclusive dealer network where they're not sharing floor space with Yamaha or Kawasaki or Honda, then they're not really a true competitor for Harley. So until they reach that status, I just can't place them in the position of being a true competitor to Harley. Okay, so that's just my opinion. I do love some of their bikes. I don't like some of the other ones, but that's true with Harley. I love some of their bikes. I don't like some of the other ones, but they're not in the same league. So let's put that to rest right now. Here are the real problems as I see it. The politics and the flip-flopping of Harley from being a woke company to then being a company going back to its root values. When you get involved in politics as a recreational brand, whether it's RVs, again, boats, motorcycles, then you have to accept that you're going to distance some of your potential customer base. Well, with the U.S. being so politically divided right now and for the last couple years, Harley made some bad choices on marketing and bad choices on responding to why they want to do certain things or directions that they want to take. They just stumbled. They were like the kid caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They did not handle it well. It caused a big problem in the dealer network, in the customer base. And then they immediately did the flip-flop, which made everything worse because instead of offending 50% of your customer base, you then at some point in the year, they've offended everyone in their customer base. Do I think that this is a problem that is self-created? Yes. Do I think that it lies solely at the feet of the CEO and the board of directors? Absolutely. If you're going to take a risk and you're going to stand for something, whatever that is, whatever side it is, whatever issue it is, you need to be prepared to go the path. You know, you have to walk the walk. You've got to realize that you're going to upset some people, but if it's what you truly believe in, then that's the direction you go. If you're not fully committed to that, then don't start the path. And that has affected Harley this year in a very significant area, and that is the value of their used bikes. Used bikes have plummeted in their resale value. I don't see the models that were affected coming back up in value. This isn't like riding a wave. I think that you killed Harley Davidson. You killed the value of many of your core customers' bikes. And that is going to shift the mindset. Let's talk about Jade Shadow, okay? So Jade Shadow was right under $26,000, unmodified, brand new when I bought her in 2021. When I checked my resale value on the bike, it was less than $10,000. That is a huge, huge loss, especially when your new bikes are increasing in their cost, right? 2024 model had some of the bikes come down a little bit, but that was right after they had gone extremely high, right? So there's such a gap between new and used that you, Harley Davidson, are going to be reaping poor sales versus expectations of new bikes for years to come. That is really shaking up your dealer network. I've heard of dealerships closing, smaller dealerships can't survive. It's a bad thing, and it's not a quick thing. So that, I think, is your biggest thing that you have done to hurt yourself and to hurt the people that support you, whatever their political views are. Both sides of the spectrum are suffering from you fumbling that football. So what do you do about it? There's really nothing you can do about it. It's going to force people to stop and think about the value that they get out of the bike that they buy, or the bike they keep, if they're going to keep the bike, versus trying to limit their loss by getting out as soon as possible. People are going to be more focused on the experience of riding, which may be a good thing, right? Than just buying the newest thing to show off. Because there's not a lot of people in our economy that's able to keep up with the rising cost on premium bikes. That's just the reality of it. Those that have the money don't necessarily want to risk the loss that you've demonstrated, Harley Davidson, and those that don't have the money simply can't play in your sandbox. So you need to rethink that, and I have faith that you will. That's where we're going to get into some of the predictions. So let's talk about one more thing, one more problem Harley has, and then we're going to get into the new models, and that is they hit it out of the park when they launched the Pan America, right? It became the #1 selling adventure bike in the US. It was a dominant bike across the globe that they were available in the areas they were available in. It was a great thing to build you some momentum in a sector that you had not been in. And when you come out and you dominate with your first offering, and sales support that, then you really need to leverage that. But what did you do, Harley Davidson? You didn't advertise. You didn't have a marketing plan. You launched the bike, and within 2 months, your focus shifted to all these other things, and you did not take advantage of the benefits of the success of the bike. Do I think the Pan America is going anywhere? No. Are sales down right now? Yes. Are they still a major force in the class? Absolutely. And do I think Harley Davidson's going to continue to invest in this segment? Absolutely. But they need to do it smart. You are throwing away a lot of money when you are not bragging about and promoting the things that are successful for you, especially when you're dealing with all the other fallout, right? So let's get into the bikes themselves. So 2025, here's the predictions. Sportster Lineup is going to be retuned. It might be in the second half of the year, but I'm expecting a lot of it to start with the January announcements. Sportster Lineup, the Nightsters, they're decent, right? They're decent bikes. Are they more expensive than what that target market for those bikes can normally afford? Yes. So you need to find a way. I truly do think you will find a way to lower the price. Expand the Sportster Lineup. I expect there to be at least 2 more bikes in the Sportster Lineup. Harley has traditionally always had many offerings, and I think they're poised to do that now. So I expect that we are going to get some kind of sport version of it. I expect that we're going to get a very base to replace what was the 883. So I think we're going to get a cheaper version of it as well. If you do that, Harley, if you do what the industry thinks you're going to do on this, then you're going to reap the benefits of it. The Nightster, I'm begging you, and I think this will happen. I don't know if it's this year or it's going to be next year, but this will happen from what I've been hearing, and that is they're going to finish the bikes. What I mean by that is, as you know, I've always complained that standing on one side of the bike, it looks amazing, well thought out, a piece of art. You look at the other side and you have dangling cables and wires and exposed elements, and it looks like crap. So I do fully expect that Harley's going to rework the ugly side of the bike. And that should be something coming out sooner rather than later, right? I have been hearing that one of the worst selling bikes that they have is the Sportster S. I've done reviews of it. It rides like crap. It is very uncomfortable. It's fast, but that's it. It's very expensive just to have something fast, but that you can't go anywhere other than ride to the corner store to get some candy or some sodas for the family and ride back, or ride to school and ride back. That's literally all you can do on it, because otherwise it will kill your back. It doesn't matter how old you are. It is not a comfortable bike. Everybody is saying that the Sportster S is going to be cut. And by everybody, I mean my network of people in the know. And I do expect that that last year, 2024, was the last year of the Sportster S. What I am hearing, though, is that there's going to be a replacement in that. And that is going to be that they're finally going to use the Bronx. It's not going to be the Bronx. It might be the Sportster Bronx, but more likely it's going to be named the Sportster Street Fighter or some combination thereof. It's going to be the 1250 engine instead of the 975 that was originally theorized on the Bronx. Bronx will basically just be its production code name. But that bike is going to come in and it's going to fill in the lineup where the 1250 is, and with its focus on riding, the position, the rider triangle on it, I think it's going to be worth the price if they bring it out at the price of the Sportster S currently, as long as they have cheaper Sportster models in the Sportster family. That seems that, from everything I'm hearing, that is absolutely the direction that they're going to go in. And I think it's a smart move. It really gives you a lot more options on buyers, demographics of buyers. It's going to appeal to a much wider customer base to have those offerings in the Sportster lineup. In the Pan America arena, the marketing that has been there, or that has been fringe supported by Harley Davidson, has been encouraged by Harley Davidson, even if they're not paying for the actual ads, but the little leaks, the information they're giving to their YouTube spokespeople, let's call it what it is, says that they're going to come out with the lower powered version, more of a flat track racer type of Pan America. It's probably going to get the 975 instead of a detuned 1250 for savings in weight and savings in material cost. The other thing that they're looking at is focusing on it competing with the Indian FTR. So it's going to have that flat track off-road racer type of focus that they've been having and they've shown it can be done in some of the hooligan race teams. And just the shift in focus that Harley has kind of nudged people to talk about the hooligan race teams and what they've done with the Pan Americas signify that that's the direction that they're going to go in. So I'm fully expecting that this year as a new bike. The breakout has been a problem for Harley Davidson. It's a show bike. It's not a rider's bike. Everybody that's ridden them knows this. It's a cool bike. It's a collectible. It looks great. It's great for advertising. But people, on the whole, don't like riding it. They took it away for 1 year or 2 years from the US. They kept it overseas while they developed the systems to put the 117 in it, brought it back here with the 117, thinking that's going to be their flagship bike. They're still sitting on dealerships floors. They're just not moving. Price point's too high. It's not a rider's bike. The ergonomics on it just don't lead to a good riding experience, despite the fact that they've put all their new and shiny toys on it. I expect that that bike's going to go away completely. I do not see a future there for them with the Breakout. That being said, let's talk about another bike that they have done something similar, but it's a different type of bike, and that is the Fat Bob. So they cut the Fat Bob for a year in the US. They still had some of them in the 2024 model year in Europe and overseas. The fact that they kept it going on that platform signifies that they're not done with it, right? Additionally, it's poised to come back. There's a lot of people that have owned Fat Bobs, or people that have ridden them and wanted to buy one and for whatever reason didn't. And I'm one of the former. I own my 2020 Fat Bob, which I loved. You've seen it here on the channel. And that used to be the flagship. A lot of people called it the Corvette of the Softail lineup, right? It was truly the best handling. If you watch YouTube videos, people riding the bike, they either said it was extremely hard to turn on the twisties, and others said it was extremely easy. The truth of the matter is that it was completely neutral. It was exactly what you put into it. It was the only bike that Harley Davidson came out in their Sportster, Softail, or Touring lineup that had a completely neutral handling ability. And that led the right people to be able to make that bike sing around the corners. And I loved mine. I am hearing from a lot of people that attended the dealer events where they let the dealer principals know what's coming up for the next year so they can get pre-orders in, but they're sworn to secrecy, and even the dealership employees don't know special bikes that are coming out. I am hearing from that select few they have connections with that there is going to be a 117 version of the Fat Boy. I'm sorry, said Fat Boy, Fat Bob, that's going to be brought back for sale in the US and across the globe. That will come back in, reclaim its place as the best handling, sport-driven version of the Softails, and it will have the 117 engine that they experimented putting it into the Breakout. That bike I fully expect to be amazing. I cannot wait. I truly cannot wait to drive that bike, to ride it. It's out of everything that Harley's done and is doing, that is what has had me the most excited. So I would be willing to bet serious money that come 2025, we're going to get a higher performance Fat Bob with the 117 engine in it. So market, you heard it here first probably. Not a lot of people know about this yet, but the Fat Bob is going to come back. Fat Boy, slows have been very slow this year on the Fat Boy. A lot of people have said, well, maybe it's time for Harley to cut the Fat Boy. No, the reason that they're slow is because next year is going to be an anniversary model. Everybody that is interested in getting a Fat Boy is holding off to get an anniversary model. Every time that you have the year before an anniversary model, especially on the iconic bikes like the Fat Boy, sales always drop for people that are going to hold over. So expect a really nicely worked anniversary model of the 2025 Fat Boy. The bikes that have the 107, 107's gone. They'll have the 114 as the entry-level engine. You may see some of the other bikes being upgraded to a 117. I expect the Heritage to stay a 114. The 117's already in the Lowrider series. So the Fat Bob isn't the only one that's going to get the 117, but the Fat Bob is going to be their sport leader. Let's talk about the Road King. So there's been a lot of speculation that the Road King is going away. They killed the base Road King, the Classic. The sales have been slow on paper on the Road King Special for 2024. What a lot of people don't realize is that the reason that the sales have been slower on the Road King Special this year have been because they have put out very few of them to the dealer network. Some of the smaller shops have only gotten one Road King Special for the whole year. Some of the bigger ones have still only gotten 4, maybe 5 bikes for the dealership for the entire year. Of course, sales are going to be down on it if you're just not producing the model. It is the only one of the touring platforms that haven't gotten the upgrades on the engine and the tech. I fully expect them to come out swinging on the Road King platform for 2025. I'm hearing both a Classic and a version of a Special, whether it's package driven, which we'll discuss in a few moments, or if it's an individual model. But the Road King isn't going anywhere. That is an iconic bike for Harley Davidson. It's a long-running nameplate, and it's got a huge core fan base. So the Road King is not going anywhere. Let's talk about package-driven versus model-driven, especially in the tour bikes. It makes more sense financially. And Harley Davidson has been talking about this for about 3 or 4 years now, about going away from a wide range of models and instead, especially on the touring, instead of making just a standardized bike, a standard Road Glide, a standard Street Glide, a standardized Road King, standardized trikes, and then selling packages, full kits that add custom bags, touring packs, engine guards, the lower fairings, different types of finishes on your dash. Because right now, the Street Glide and the Road Glide, they only have the matte black unfinished plastic, right? Well, there's a package that they're developing, from what I understand, that will allow you to get a finished one. Basically, instead of getting an S model or going up to the big touring bikes, the Ultras, you can just get the base bike, buy the packages, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and have it built at the dealership before you pick it up, right? And this makes a lot more sense, because then they can start fighting that battle that they are dealing with about rising prices. They can keep the prices lower on the really expensive bikes and let you change it over time or order it the way you want it, right? And it makes a lot better sense from a financial standpoint. I definitely think that that's the direction they're going, is with packages. I hope that that's the direction that they're going, is with packages, because Harley owners love to customize, and all Harley owners are upset about the price raising. So this would solve both problems. It would also provide a really big profit center for the dealership, so that as they're recovering from lower sales because of decisions that Harley has made over the next coming years, they can still have money-making centers in their service department, in their parts department, to keep the dealership going at full steam. They owe it to their dealer principals to be able to do it at that level. To that end, I also think that there's going to be a tour pack equipped version of the, the Road Glide 3, the trike with the shark nose fairing on it. Having the lack of a touring pack available for that has definitely affected the sales on it. Now let's talk about some predictions with the company itself. There's some big things that not only need to happen, but they appear to be in the works of occurring. So one of those is that there needs to be a total reset at the top. The board needs to be shooken up. The CEO, it's time for him to move on. The reason why is that especially because of the waffling that they went back and forth on the political issues this year, there is a huge lack of confidence in the CEO. And when you are dealing with such an expensive brand, you cannot afford for that to happen. And then the effects that have occurred to the used bike market, there is going to be no other solution. The CEO is going to have to change. The board, which supported him, that was also part of these decisions, they need to be shook up really, really good as well. And I fully expect that to happen. In 25, going into 2026, there's going to be a change at the top seats. Harley Davidson is also going to, at the corporate level, they have already decided they're going to double down on the ICE engines. I expect very soon to have the sell-off of the LiveWire division. Harley has not met its expectations. It's been a huge drain on the company. It's not what the consumers want, and it's not what we need at this time. So what's going to happen is they're going to sell that off. They're going to focus on the ICE engines, the internal combustion engines. I fully expect the primarily air-cooled engines, the Milwaukee 8s and the Softails, to continue in that direction. I only expect full liquid cooling to occur in the Revolution Max bikes, which we'll talk about in a minute, and in some of the touring models. There is no need to change that. And from the standpoint of customizability, which is a big factor, especially in the mid-range bikes, I fully expect that they're going to keep on the direction that they're going. And that's what they've pretty much told everybody that is the direction they're going to take. The engines that are the Revolution Max engines, I expect to be dominant in the entry-level bikes and in the off-road bikes. And I think that they're going to live only in those areas for many years to come. They make those markets more competitive, make them equal offerings from other buyers, other brands. And I think it's a good place for them. And you can still make your core customer, your Softails, your touring customers, happy with the heritage that are in the engines the way they're designed now. I do not expect the Revolution Max to trickle up to the Softails or the touring. Harley Davidson has also announced internally that they're going to be focused on two main things. They want to start focusing on weight of their bikes in the mid-cruiser and the touring bikes. And they also want to focus on the tech. They want to give the tech that works behind the scenes, that makes the bikes easier and safer to ride, and continue to make them more reliable. They don't necessarily want to focus on entertainment systems any more than they have. They're not going to be bringing out any entertainment-based interactive screens on their mid bikes, on the Softails. The buyers of those don't need that, don't want that. What they do want is the small things that make a safer, more reliable, more enjoyable ride. So suspension tech, things like that are going to come into play, as well as weight savings to make the bikes even faster. More powerful engines keep increasing as time progresses with the Milwaukee 8. Reducing the weight will have a great effect as well. Now, let's talk about one more big change that I'm expecting, and that primarily has to do to a great degree with Harley Davidson Financial. They have been running low interest rates. They have been running in some areas 0% for a time period, and it's not helping sales. It's not helping sales because the people that truly need them won't qualify for those programs, right? The people that don't have the money to go hire, get a more expensive bike, that are limited on income are still affected by massive interest rates from Harley Davidson Financial. So I think what they're going to do, what I hope they do, what they need to do to recover from all the repos that have been happening because of crashed values, everything else, is do a guaranteed buyback program. Something that looks like we guarantee your bike will have X value of resale, 70%, 80% of your purchase price after 2 years. Give the security that you're not going to go in and just throw away 50% of your money like what's happened in 2024 by losing the value on your bike. If you know you can go back, trade it back to Harley for a guaranteed value offset by Harley Davidson Financial, I think that at that point they're going to overcome that problem. I don't see anything else working to restore confidence in the value of the bikes. And I don't think anything else will give the buying push to the people that are their bulk buyers. Not everybody can go out and buy their $52,000 motorcycle. Very few people, in fact, can do that. Their $15,000 to $20,000 bike is their core customer. And that's usually by people that are on limited incomes. And especially with the way the economy has been and where it's going, they need to know that if they're going to take the risk on the bike, that the value is going to be there. So I fully expect, and I'm hearing that there's a very good possibility that guaranteed buyback value is going to be initiated on the bikes. So folks, that's what 2025 is going to look like. Those are my predictions based on everything that I've gotten from both the inside and from looking at the market and using a little bit of common sense, understanding the cycles that they go through on these manufacturing of new models, and all the very limited leaks that are coming out. I hope I'm right. I'd love to hear your comments, see what you think, what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Let's see what happens come January with Harley Davidson. Yeah, give me your opinion down in the comments. I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support. In a couple, probably the next video, we're going to talk about some changes with the motorcycle here at Simply Being Shipley. Bring you up to date on that project, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great one.